All right, Maddie, welcome back to the Ask Maddie show. Maddie, how are you feeling?
I'm feeling pretty good. Bitcoin's up quite a bit today. Crypto market's looking lively, so looking good, feeling good.
Absolutely. We are happy to be back, team. We love your guys' comments, questions, everything you guys leave under our posts. Before we get into the show, make sure you become a Crypto Charge member. Click the link in the pinned comment below. You get things like daily shows, market alerts. Maddie sent a market alert out this weekend. Maddie, can you quickly break down what happened? Quickly, briefly, USDC, you sent out a market alert. What was going on with that?
Sure. So, as you guys probably know, Silicon Valley Bank, the 16th largest bank in the United States, went belly up, went insolvent. And we also had, Circle, who is the company that backs USDC, parking a good portion of their funds in Silicon Valley Bank. So there's probably about a 6% exposure there, give or take. And obviously that sparked concern for a lot of people, especially when you saw on exchange the price of USDC sometimes reflected somewhere around 89 to 93 cents. Some exchanges were showing 95 cents, but a lot of exchanges were showing like a 1 cent depeg, which is really not that big of a deal. Sometimes you'll see with USDT, a 1 cent above or below, current market price. But, overall, the entire weekend, Circle did vocalize coming close to Sunday, hey, we know the exchange rate says, less than $1, but you can redeem your USDC dollar for dollar here at Circle. But before we knew all of this, there was obviously fear of contagion, fear of a meltdown. So we wanted to make sure our members were alerted of this. So we sent out a text message on Friday while USDC was still dollar for dollar and said, hey, out of an abundance of caution, we recommend either, parking your money in USDT or USD just over the weekend until we can figure out what's going on with, with Circle, with the solvency, who's got what. We can always enter back into USDC, but we don't want to be in a situation like with UST where, you depeg and that peg never comes back, right? So it's always better to be safe than sorry, which is why we sent out the alert. And a lot of people were able to at least feel comfortable over the weekend while we got the news.
Quick follow-up question, Maddie, before we get into other people's questions here. Is USDC still your favorite stablecoin?
Yeah, definitely. And again, this wasn't an issue with Circle's backing. This had to do just with a regular traditional bank being insolvent and not doing what they were supposed to be doing. So this actually wasn't a crypto issue at all. This wasn't even a Circle issue. This was a traditional banking issue and really a ramification of fractional reserve banking, allowing banks to only hold 1/10 or 1/12 of the actual deposits that they're supposed to hold. So again, I don't have any concerns with Circle. Just like with Ripple, right? They held some money in Silicon Valley Bank. Again, that doesn't mean that Ripple, the company, is a bad company. This was a failing of the traditional finance system.
Great breakdown, Maddie. Thank you for getting into that because I knew that was like a big topic over the weekend. Obviously, Silicon Valley Bank, but that also like led into Circle, and I know a bunch of crypto influencers gave their piece about Circle, and I really wanted people to hear what you had to say for that. So thank you. But let's get into people's questions here, Maddie. Sadiq, I can't pronounce your name. Sorry. I have the same setup. However, it's expensive to keep transferring funds back and forth between wallet and exchange. Any ideas on how to save costs, Maddie?
So this is probably referring to cold storage and transferring funds from exchange to cold storage. And there really shouldn't be any major reason that you are ripping your coins back onto exchange regularly unless you're swing trading them, which may be your situation. But again, at the end of the day, how many exchanges did we see go bust in such a short period in 2022, right? Celsius, Voyager, you had FTX, right? And people lost a ton of money and still haven't gotten that money back. And when they do get that money back, it's going to be somewhere between 30 and 70% of those funds. So do gas fees suck sometimes? Yeah, but the reality is I would rather pay those fees all day long and have the peace of mind knowing that nobody can have access to my assets. Of course, market volatility is what it is, right? Like keeping it in cold storage is not going to protect us from market price and volatility, but it is going to protect me against an exchange acting improperly or being under collateralized or over leveraged. And, at the end of the day, I'm perfectly comfortable with that. Most of the coins that I hold are really cheap to transfer anyway, so I don't really care about those fees. I'm not holding Bitcoin, I'm not holding ETH. I only hold a little bit of ETH in my cold storage for transfer fees if I do need to transfer an ERC20 token. But again, it's the cost of doing business, in my opinion.
Great breakdown. Official Knack, what do you mean by a cold storage device? That sounds safe and sound.
Yeah, you're right. It does sound safe and sound. So a cold storage device essentially is just like a little hardware wallet. It looks like a USB stick. My favorite is Ledger Nano series, but Trezor also makes one. There's a few other companies out there that make some larger, more expensive devices. That's the Trezor right there. Model T really one of the best products you guys can pick up outside of the Ledger Nano, two of the most popular products out there. But essentially what these hardware devices do is they give you an extra sense of security. So let's take it back a step here and let's talk about hot exchanges. So when you were talking about like your Coinbases and your Binances and your Krakens, right? Great opportunities to be able to buy and sell coins. And that's really the only reason I use an exchange, to either buy coins and then take them off exchange, or to take them onto exchange to sell them for stable coins or fiat or whatever, and then withdraw that back to my cold storage or my bank account, right? I'm not leaving the coins on hot exchange. And the reason for that is, again, there's that risk of, associating your custody with somebody else and leaving them responsible to keep your funds safe. But when you take your coins into cold storage, you have two layers. So you have your portal where you can view your assets. So for Ledger, that's Ledger Live. For Trezor, that's going to be Trezor Suite. So you have kind of like an interface, just like you would with an exchange, where you can view all your assets. A lot of these devices now even have like internal DEXs or decentralized exchanges where you can swap your assets directly without even having to take them off on exchange. Now, of course, there are fees associated with that, right? Again, the cost of doing business. But what this cold storage device does is it provides you extra security. So you can receive funds into your account without using this device by just, going into your application and copying the address, but nobody can send the funds out of your device without plugging it in, punching in the PIN, and then clicking send. So, people are not able to remotely hack into your software and then extract your coins. So that's a really big safety factor there. And again, the only way to recover this is with your seed phrases. So you get 24 words that come with it when you set it all up, and that's your only way to recover it, right? So this is one of the reasons people don't like cold storage so much, is they're afraid, hey, if I lose these seed phrases, I lose all my funds. But at the same time, I saw 4 exchanges go bust in 1 year. So I'm going to go ahead and just say I'm going to take good care of my 24 seed phrases. Instead of trusting another custody solution like Coinbase or Binance, as big as they are. FTX was one of the biggest exchanges in the world. So, I'd rather just put faith in me, take self-custody, and have full control over my assets at all times.
Absolutely, Matty. I know since day one you always shared either go with the Ledger Nano series or go with the Trezor. I don't know what led me to go with the Trezor, because I feel like when you say those things, it's very easy for people to get a hold of a Ledger. I went with the Trezor. I love the Trezor touchscreen, Maddie. I used Trezor Suite. It's the software. But I also started using it through Exodus, and that's the way I can send like XLM to it, and it works like perfectly well. And I can't send XLM to Trezor, so it's like Trezor Suite. So Exodus is just like something I like to utilize. But I love this Model T, Maddie. Of course, I want to try like some of the new devices. There was a new one from 1inch, I believe, that you broke down, and I love that one. It's kind of just like a luxury at this point when you
yeah, definitely. It's not a terrible idea to have extra devices too, right? Especially if you have a lot of funds, not a bad idea to maybe break those out over a couple devices. But like you said, 1inch is coming out with one. Ledger is also coming out with a really new one called Stacks, and it's going to be a touchscreen based one, so it's going to be a little bit more intuitive. I know, again, that's another barrier of entry people don't like so much, is just the 2-button interface. But it's the simplicity of devices that keep them safe. When you start adding a lot of extra things to devices, that allows for extra points of vulnerability. So, simple is better when it comes to cold storage.
Maddie, me and you will probably definitely be upgrading to these bougie cold storage devices.
Oh, definitely.
Brian Kaiser, and how do you know for sure that XRP won't be stakeable in the future? Nobody knows, so stop pretending like you know everything.
All right, so this is a sensitive topic for a lot of people, and a lot of people have gotten into XRP, but with the expectation that XRP will be worth 5 figures or more in the future. Which could it be? Sure, but again, remember how many billions of tokens are in circulation. Again, from a Fibonacci standpoint, XRP has the ability to be worth 4 figures or more. It does, but I don't think that happens all at once. I think it happens over many, many cycles, over many, many years. So that's kind of step one of people's expectation. They think that also when XRP is worth $10,000, $15,000, $20,000, I've even seen 6-figure expectations now because it's going to be so valuable. Again, this is my biggest holding. That you're going to be able to stake it with banks. They're going to pay you an insane double-digit yield, monthly or whatever for holding your XRP. And that's your retirement plan. You'll never have to work again because you'll just keep the XRP with the bank and they'll pay you this double-digit reward. Look at how the traditional finance system works now. You give them cash, which is as liquid as it possibly gets. They can do anything with that. They can lend it out. They can make 8% on that. And they're going to pay you 0.01%. In what world do you think that these banks are going to wake up and say, you know what? We're sorry we were paying you 0.01%. This asset you have is so valuable that for whatever reason, we can't just purchase and escrow and hold. And we're going to pay you 10, 12, 15% on this. Absolutely absurd. Now, is there going to be possibilities for solutions in the future where you can lend your coins? Because again, staking is kind of like this umbrella term people have just kind of like melded underneath, but you can lend your XRP to maybe an institution or somebody that's going to pay you a yield on that. And they're going to, of course, lend that out to somebody else. But you guys have to remember, if their banks are paying you 15%, that means that they have to lend that XRP out to somebody else at an interest rate higher than 15% in order to make interest. Who is going to pay more than 15% on an XRP loan, right? It just doesn't make sense. So, again, you have to remember that there's also inherent risk with lending, right? If you're lending to somebody, there is the risk of default or insolvency, which we have seen with Celsius and Voyager, two perfect examples of staking, which was actually lending, that went bust. So, there's a lot of layers to it. Again, can I say that there's going to be no lending opportunities? No, I think there will be lending opportunities. I just don't think it's going to be as esoteric and huge and life-changing as people think it will be.
Great breakdown, Matty. I don't think this is going to be the last time we talk about this. DEFCON 2. Yeah, okay, buddy. There's already staking platforms, and the regulations are still on the way. How about you send me your XRP, and I'll gladly take it off your hands? I wanted to bring this up, Matty, because we had a video do really well on YouTube, and it was a video where you're breaking down XRP and the lies that are around it. And it's funny because you fall in the middle. You're not crazy. I mean, you are crazy about XRP, but you're not like insano about XRP, but you're not a pessimist. And so people think just because you're not saying I love XRP is going to save the world, that you're a Bitcoin Maxi, and people call you Bitcoin Maxi now. And I think it's hilarious because I know that's quite the opposite. Matty, what's your response to things like this?
Yeah, and I think that it's like a very knee-jerk reaction. First of all, everyone on the internet loves to use buzzwords to express themselves because it's a lot easier than digging deep and really looking inside yourself and being like, okay, how do I actually feel about this? So lashing out Bitcoin Maxi is the most hilarious response I get because I hold 0 Bitcoin. If I hold any Bitcoin, it's literally for a second because I'm paying for something that only allows me to pay in Bitcoin, but I'm not holding it from an investment standpoint. Anytime I use Bitcoin, it's from a transactional standpoint, the way that crypto technically is supposed to be used for transactions. So again, coming back to the staking, are there places where you can earn yield right now like BitTrue? Sure, but again, it's risk, right? Because XRP does not need to be staked to work, right? It's not like Ethereum. It's not a proof of stake model. So there's no staking required versus like Casper, which is a proof of stake model. You earning yield in the native pool is actually helping secure the network because it's a proof of stake model. So again, we're mixing together the idea of staking and lending. They're two very different things. You can't take it off my hands because it's all in my cold storage and will remain there until it becomes time to sell. So again, I'm an investor. I'm a trader. I'm here to make money. As much as I love XRP, I'm going to let go of a lot of it. And I'm going to hold on to 30% of my bag long term. So no matter what happens, whatever, I'm wrong and XRP goes to $100 or $1,000 this cycle, great. I still have 30% of my bag to deal with that. But overall, I want to just compound and increase my overall bag of XRP by buying and selling within cycles, using Fibonacci extensions, and really just overall propelling myself into, financial security. Sometimes that means letting go of what you have in the moment in order to reap a bigger reward in the future. People get married to their coins, married to their trades, but they're just assets. And I know that people are like, it's different this time. This is a new economy, the crypto economy. It doesn't matter. Even when we look at stocks or cash or whatever, as they've evolved over time, it doesn't change the fact that people, professional traders will always go from volatile assets to stable assets. So even if we call those the Fed dollar or stable coins or whatever, it doesn't matter to me. I'm looking to capitalize on the volatility until the volatility peters out. And then maybe I'll have more of like a buy and hold strategy. But over the next 10 years, I think we're going to experience a ton of volatility in the crypto markets. And it's absolutely foolish to ignore that and not capitalize on those opportunities.
Great approach, Matty. Brandon Figueroa, not seeing a lot of growth in ICP. Are your eyes open? The ICP boys.
There's so many tokens out there, right? There's so many opportunities to invest in this, invest in that. And, I know that ICP was one of those that opened, depreciated 99 some point something percent, didn't have a roadmap that they were following, and maybe they are building now. But again, I can't pay attention intensely to every single cryptocurrency. We already have in our coin library at Crypto Charge, over 50 coins now, and I can't even give all my attention to all of those coins. I'm really only able to actively pay attention to like 12 to 15 of them. I'm going to really put my attention on coins that I know for a fact are building like crazy, that have excellent fundamentals, that are also not only just have excellent fundamentals, but are competitive within their vertical. So, if you look at the ETH killers out there, there's 500 ETH killers. They can't all be an ETH killer. I think that when we look at ICP, it's a dud. It fell immensely. I didn't see any growth from it, and I'm not going to turn any attention to it now.
Great approach, Matty. I know this next comment has to do with somebody's XRP or maybe another digital asset. XRD KDR. I can't transfer mine on eToro. Matty, what are your thoughts on eToro?
Yeah, so you guys should not be using partial service brokerages. So like Robinhood and eToro, first of all, benefited off of this business model, and they pretend like they are the people's exchanges because they're super simple to set up and they look like Cash App and they're just super user friendly or whatever. But what they want you to do is only buy and sell on their platform. Why do they want you to do that? Because they make fees on every transaction you make, whether you're buying or you're selling. They're going to make money on both the spread, the difference between the buy and the sell price, as well as a transaction fee for actually facilitating that transaction for you. So what eToro wants you to do is to sell that XRP on their platform. It's not a full service exchange like Coinbase or KuCoin, where you're able to just buy the assets and then withdraw them to either a self-custody solution or send them to a different exchange to sell. So I would definitely recommend trying to either liquidate everything out of eToro, whatever you got to do, swap that for stablecoin, send it over to another exchange that will let you withdraw the cold storage or another self-custody solution, and stay away from these partial service brokerages because they're not doing anything better for you. They're not giving you better pricing. They're not doing anything esoteric or special for you. Might as well use a full service brokerage and have the opportunity to self-custody your coins like you're trying to do here.
Awesome, Matty. All right, last question of the show. Christopher, I like Zcash low supply of tokens in circulation. It just hasn't exploded in value like Bitcoin though. Maybe that will change sometime in the future. Matty.
Yeah, so Zcash is a very unique asset, and I really don't think this is going to get talked about until price looks really, really lucrative because it's not sexy like Bitcoin because it's worth 5 figures. It's not Ethereum, and people are building applications on it like crazy. Zcash is a privacy coin. And I know that a lot of people don't see the value in it right now because they think that all of crypto is decentralized and like, okay, well, like, why do I need a privacy coin if I'm already using Bitcoin that's decentralized by nature? But you can still track a lot of details with assets like Bitcoin and Ethereum on the public ledger, right? Whereas with Zcash, you're hiding a lot of those credentials that might be sensitive. So you're still able to have the network verify everything and make sure that the transaction is good and that you have the funds and that the funds are going to be received in the correct location, but you're not necessarily exposing all of those sensitive credentials. So, like this comment is talking about, Zcash didn't perform super crazy well in this last bull run. We actually saw that in a lot of Dino coins that didn't make new all-time highs that were, big runners in the 2017, 2018 cycle. I was spread out across multiple Dino coin plays, meaning I was invested in Bitcoin Cash, EOS, and Zcash. Those were kind of like the big three. As we kind of were coming down into our bearish period, and I was like, all right, time to do some rebalancing. I decided, hey, I'm going to take my Dino coin plays, I'm going to take the Bitcoin Cashes and the EOSs, and I'm actually just going to consolidate them into Zcash because I see this as not only, one of the better technical plays, even though Bitcoin Cash technically had a little bit more upside, but Zcash on its own as its own protocol has so much more proprietary value. So I'll actually show you my chart here on Zcash and kind of where I'm at. So we told our members, I said, hey, anytime price comes down into this blue band over here, I'm a buyer. And the reason for that is these are basically the lows that have been established over and over. In 2017, these were the lows. Over here in 2019, these were the lows. Of course, we threw some wicks over here, but the meat of the price action is kind of in this blue band. So I told our members, anytime we get into this blue band, this is a buy for me. And the big reason is, again, from that upside potential. You guys can see, actually, even though it didn't make a new all-time high, if you were, accumulating at the lows here in 2019 and 2020, the same lows that were established in 2017, right? If you were accumulating here, you would have seen Zcash do over a 1,000% move. So still a 10x without a new all-time high, which is still a great return, right? So we haven't even made a new all-time high yet. But when I look at the swing high over here, and again, this is not even the actual swing high. Zcash on Bitfinex actually has an illiquidity wick around $2,600. We've shown examples and examples and examples of many assets that have opened a wick like this, crash, 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 and then eventually go fill that wick in the future, right? So if I'm looking at price currently and I'm looking at, okay, $37, $30, $27, and I'm saying, okay, this doesn't make a new all-time high. We're just going to come in for a retracement. So, from the blue band up to a 702 is a 1,700% return. So a 17x without making a new all-time high. But again, I think that Zcash has value. I think that in this next bull run, we're going to see it make a new all-time high. So where do we generally see new all-time highs from extension standpoints? Anywhere between a 1.618 and a 4.236. Now they can't exceed this. The Fibonacci sequence goes forever, but within a single cycle, those are like reasonable expectations. So again, that puts us somewhere between $1,300 and $3,300. So again, from current market price, you get up here towards that first target, that's a 40x. You get up to the 2.618, a 65x, and up to the 4.236 is over a 100x. So, again, just like any asset, we don't look at the top target and say, I'm not selling a dime of this asset until it gets there. But when you look at the overall possibilities being a minimum of a 10x reward, right, all the way up to potentially a 100x reward from something that you really won't have any other exposure into unless you're into like Monero or Pirate Chain. There's not a lot of privacy coins out there. I think it's worth considering allocating some of your portfolio into something like a Zcash.
Great breakdown, Maddie. Oh my gosh, what a great show. I feel like we got through a bunch of different things. Team, if you liked this show, please leave a like. Click the pinned link in the comment below. Become a Crypto Charge member. It's crazy right now. I know everyone's probably pulling their hair out. The market's crazy. So you can get those market alerts, daily shows, all at cryptocharge.com. That is very important. Maddie, anything to leave the team with?
I appreciate you guys tuning into these shows. Again, like Gavin said, you guys can become a member today. There's absolutely no credit card required. You guys can check us out for 2 whole weeks without any credit card, which is awesome. That also gives you access to the Discord immediately. So if you want to jump in there, ask me more questions directly, chat with our team, catch our live shows every week. That's really the best way to go about it. So I'd really encourage you guys to get in there. Even if you don't like our program, I'd like to hear what you like and don't like about our program so that we can make sure that you guys are getting the best educational experience.
Words of wisdom, Maddie. All right, we're done, team. See ya.